Hello. I like making unique videos about Nikola Tesla. A lot of the stuff on the internet just kind of repeats the same thing over and over again. I have a poem here, and a lot of people have seen it. It's called Fragments of Olympian Gossip. It's written by Nikola Tesla, but most people don't know who it was written to or what the actual contents mean. I'm also going to give you a few citations from Nikola Tesla regarding a person he absolutely did not like at all, which was Albert Einstein. Before starting off, I'd like to show you something that I don't think anybody else on YouTube is showing you. This is a handwritten note of Nikola Tesla, and it's written to his friend, who's a German mystic, George Sylvester Viereck. By the way, this mystic started up a newsletter in which Aleister Crowley actually did a lot of contributions. And George Sylvester was also the first person to write about um, psychic vampires, and he apparently got the idea from Nikola Tesla. Indications are thereof. But anyway, this is a letter written to Mr. George Sylvester Viereck, but also, too, is the Fragments of Olympian Gossip. Nikola Tesla was friends from the early 1920s until the 1930s or further on with George Sylvester. But this is, if you look right here, this is the logo, the intertwined N and T used by Nikola Tesla on his stationery for handwritten notes. This is a handwritten note from Nikola Tesla to his mystic friend, George Sylvester, and you can see the N and the T there. I think a lot of people haven't seen this before, so I thought I'd show you that. It's quite 1920s Gothic looking, isn't it? Certainly is. So here's the poem that Nikola Tesla wrote, and basically it derives current science. And by current science, I mean science in the 1920s, which had already become atomistic and corrupted nonsense, and of course it's way worse now. And this is Fragments of Olympian Gossip, written by Nikola Tesla to his friend while listening on my cosmic phone. In other words, he's talking like in his poem that he heard what the Olympian gods were saying. While listening on my cosmic phone, meaning Nikola Tesla listening to the gods, I caught words from the Olympus blown. A newcomer was shown around, that much I could guess, aided by sound. There's Archimedes with his lever, still busy on problems as ever. Says matter and force are transmutable, and wrong the laws that you thought immutable. Below on Earth, they work at full blast. So this is Nikola Tesla in this poem, repeating what he's hearing about the gods talking about the, meager little earthlings. Below on Earth, they work at full blast, and news are coming in thick and fast. The latest tells of a cosmic gun. This is Nikola Tesla talking about his own quote-unquote death ray. But his death ray, of course, is a scalar wave beam weapon. And he actually talks about this, and he actually refers to it as a wall of power. This is also to Nikola Tesla's writing to George Sylvester. My invention will provide a wall of power. But anyway, I go on. To be pelted is very poor fun. We are wary with so much at stake, meaning war. Of course, war was, all around the 1920s, 30s, and 40s. And those beggars are a pest, no mistake. Too bad, Sir Isaac, meaning Sir Isaac Newton. They dimmed your renown and turned your great science upside down. The funny part here is written in red. Now a long-haired crank, Einstein by name. Crank is a old term we don't really use anymore. You almost never hear it now. Crank means crackpot, doofus, lunatic, harebrained, someone with half a brain. So calling him a long-haired crank, he means he's a fuzzy-haired crackpot and moron. Einstein by name puts on your high teachings all the blame. In other words, he's actually wagging the finger at Einstein, saying that Einstein is trashing the teachings and facts and laws of Sir Isaac Newton. Einstein meaning, here he says, matter and force are transmutable, and wrong the laws you thought immutable. I am much too ignorant, my son. And most people don't get what this means. Tesla, of course, is incredibly intelligent. What this means is it's a slant at intelligent idiots. This whole poem is about highly learned very intelligent idiots, people that fall for nonsense and poppycock or malarkey, in the ilk of Einstein and the current science of Tesla's time. So when Tesla calls himself ignorant, he doesn't mean ignorant in the common sense. He means he's not an overeducated idiot, someone that has a high degree and is educated but extremely stupid. What we're talking about is a very intelligent idiot with no common sense. He's calling himself ignorant as the total opposite polarity of the highly learned scientist of his time. So he's actually praising himself by calling himself ignorant. I had to explain that. For grasping schemes so finely spun, he's calling Einstein's theory of relativity a finely spun theme, and I'll actually show you that here in a second, and other quotes from Tesla. My followers are of much stronger mind, and I am content to stay behind. Perhaps I failed, but I did my best. These masters of mine may do the rest. Come, Kelvin, I have finished my cup. When is your friend Tesla coming up? In other words, when is Tesla going to die and ascend to Olympus, away from the petty human beings? Oh, quoth Kelvin, he is always late, meaning Tesla. In other words, we're waiting for Tesla to die to arise to Mount Olympus. It would be useless to remonstrate. Then silence, shuffled of soft-slippered feet. I knock at the door, meaning this is Tesla saying he's dead and he's knocking at the doors to Mount Olympus. The bedlam of the street. In other words, when Tesla leaves, he's saying that all bedlam is going to rip loose. This is Tesla's prediction on the future after he passes, saying that humanity is destined to bedlam. So let's go on to some other quotes of Nikola Tesla regarding relativity and other scientists. Today's scientists have substituted mathematics for experiments, and they wander off through equation after equation and eventually build a structure which has no relationship to reality. The scientists today think deeply instead of clearly. One must be sane to think clearly, but one can think very deeply and be quite insane. Very, very brilliant quote. This is Tesla attacking Einstein. To say in the presence of larger bodies space becomes curved is equivalent to stating that something can act upon nothing. Space has no properties, as Tesla said over and over again. Space doesn't have a means which or whereby which, nor does it have the properties that it can do something or act upon other things. I, for one, refuse to subscribe to such a view. Relativity is a beggar wrapped in the purple robes, wrapped in purple, meaning the purple robes of nobility, whom ignorant people take for a king. The theory of relativity, he said, wraps all the errors and fallacies and clothes them in magnificent mathematical garb, which fascinates, dazzles, and makes people blind to the underlying errors. The theory is like a beggar clothed in purple who ignorant people take for a king. My conclusions differ from Einstein's to that extent. I tend to disprove Einstein's theory. My explanations of natural phenomena are not so involved as his. They are simpler, and when I am ready to make a full announcement, it will be seen that I have proved my conclusions. The theory of relativity is a mass of errors and deceptive ideas violently opposed to the teachings of great men of science of the past and even common sense. Einstein is a beggar dressed in the purple robes and made king using dazzling mathematics that obscure the truth. In other words, Einstein is a fuzzy-haired crackpot fraud and lunatic. I mean, he's from a vegetarian, soft-spoken pacifist. These are really strong words from Nikola Tesla about Einstein. Since action and reaction are coexistent, it follows the supposed curvature of space is entirely impossible. Tesla here is referring about instantaneous action at a distance, due to and of which we're talking about the ether. My followers are of stronger mind, and I contend to say behind. That's just another quote from the poem that Tesla wrote to his friend. This is also, too, like I said, the letter that Tesla wrote to his mystic friend. And his mystic friend has some really interesting writings, including a lot of poses that are identical to that of Aleister Crowley's. The one clenched fist on one cheek and the other clenched fist on the other cheek, that famous pose of Aleister Crowley. Tesla loved going to dinner parties, and where he was always, the prize. Back then, rich people didn't have television sets, obviously so. Nobody did. So what they do is they invite famous and amazing people over for dinner parties. Like, yeah, come over, we're going to have dinner and chicken, and then our guest is going to be Tesla. He's going to talk about amazing things. Oh my God, this is great, because this is what happened back then. It still kind of happens to a certain extent. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you learned something from this. Nikola Tesla definitely despised Einstein. He despised essentially everything that Einstein stood for, relativity, called him a fuzzy-haired crackpot and a crank. And Tesla is right. He absolutely is right. So, thanks so much for watching. Hope you liked this video. If you do, click the link below and tell me what you think, okay? Goodbye.